tides have drawn us together. We could make a difference, you and I. End the conflict between our species before it's too late.
I don't know why you chose me for any of this. You have to stop!
Will you trust me, Barkley? The tides have drawn us together.
So we start with what can only be assumed to be UNIT doing some sort of research or scoping out this shore somewhere for what can only be assumed to be the Sea Devils. We obviously see Russell Tovey's character, who is called Barkley apparently, and we see them with like a load of cameras and lights and stuff like that, trying to get a look at, I guess, these Sea Devils emerging from the ocean or something like that. And yeah, I'm pretty sure this is UNIT as well, because I'm sure that character that stood next to Barkley there is a UNIT soldier, and we see her with the UNIT logo later on in this trailer. We then get this shot of what I can only assume is a new Sea Devil redesign emerging from the ocean. Obviously, there's been a lot of people worried about the Sea Devils being redesigned in this show. I think that mostly came from the kind of leaked set photos of what I can assume is Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character, who I believe is called Salt, which we got, I think, earlier this year or at some point last year, which looked significantly different to the Sea Devils that we've seen before, whereas this looks a lot closer to the original Sea Devils design. It has obviously still been redesigned quite a bit, especially from Legend of the Sea Devils, which wasn't that long ago, but this does look a lot closer to the Sea Devils than that character and that set photo that we saw a while back, and we obviously get a better look at her in this trailer as well. But if this is what the Sea Devils are going to look like, I personally don't have as much of an issue with it. I will have had an issue with it if they all looked like that other character, but this still does look reminiscent of a Sea Devil to me, and if they are going to be very integral to the show, which I imagine they will be, and they also are going to maybe need some kind of emotional and empathetic moments, it makes sense to make them a little bit more humanoid like this, instead of having the big rubber masks that we used to have for the Sea Devils, that we basically always had for the Sea Devils. So we'll have to wait and see what these look like properly. We do get a better look at them later on, which I'll discuss more when we get to that, and obviously I'll be discussing Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character and that design and what that could be later on in this video as well.
We could make a difference, you and I.
So we see Barkley getting into what I assume is a UNIT helicopter.
End the conflict between our species.
Here we see some sort of UNIT base, which looks like it's not in UNIT Tower to me, and I'm assuming that's Kate Stewart that we can see there as well. We see some sort of courtroom, which seems to be a big part of this show. Maybe these are all like international army figures or something like that that are in this courtroom. I'm not 100% sure. We also get what I assume is Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character saying, "We could make a difference, you and I, end the conflict between our species." So there's obviously going to be some sort of conflict going on between maybe the Sea Devils and the humans, but there is obviously another option there that I'm going to get into later. We see Barkley being led into this courtroom with that same UNIT character that we saw earlier on, and also Collin McFarlane's character, who I believe is meant to be the same character that he played in Torchwood Children of Earth, whose name currently escapes me, but I believe he was part of either the American division of UNIT or the American military. So I'm assuming he's still going to have his American accent in this, considering he's meant to be playing the same character. We get a shot of Kate Stewart, which seems to be in that same UNIT location from before, that, like I said, doesn't seem to be the UNIT tower.
Before it's too late.
Obviously another shot of Barkley in that courtroom, and this is the shot of Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character, who is apparently called Salt, and I believe this is the same character that we saw in those leaked set photos a while back that had people worried about a Sea Devil redesign. But obviously, like I said earlier, with that look we got at what seems to be a Sea Devil earlier on in this trailer, I'm not 100% sure whether or not she is going to be a Sea Devil. There's obviously still the speculation that people think she could be a fish person from, I believe, the Underwater Menace, which I discussed a while back in those videos as well when that set photo got leaked, and I do think that that is definitely more likely now, given that we've seen what the Sea Devils seem to look like in this show from the other shots. But I guess there's also always the possibility that maybe she's a female Sea Devil and this is what the female Sea Devils look like. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that if that is the case, and there's also maybe the possibility that she's maybe like a Sea Devil human hybrid, but I'm not sure if they're going to go down that route either. That seems a little bit weird.
I don't know why you chose me for any of this.
We see Barclay assumedly coming out of that courtroom, followed by unit soldiers. We see Shirley Ann Bingham, so we know Ruth Madeley as Shirley Ann Bingham is going to be in this. We see Barclay and Salt together. I think they're underwater here, or at least near the ocean, or in something that's in the ocean here.
You have to stop!
We see Kate angrily storming into the courtroom saying you have to stop this, with Colonel Ibrahim just behind her and Colin McFarlane's character as well. We see this shot as well of rubbish kind of being thrown everywhere, which seems to be outside the courtroom. This is something that we saw during filming on location. We saw this particular moment being filmed. It seems like the Sea Devils, or maybe the fish people, are fighting back against the humans, probably for leaving so much rubbish in the ocean and kind of destroying their habitat. So I'm assuming that's probably also going to be a big part of this conflict between these two species. We see a lot of soldiers on this bridge, and they seem to be surrounding Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character, which I believe this is from when that set photo got leaked during this particular shot being filmed, or this particular moment and scene being filmed.
Will you trust me, Barclay?
And we see Barclay and Salt once again talking to each other, seemingly near the ocean, and they obviously seem to have some sort of relationship in this show, and she's asking if he trusts her. We see Colin McFarlane and Barclay as well in the background, and a few other assumedly unit characters that look like they're dressed in some sort of diving suits or some sort of underwater suits with the unit logo on them. We also see them walking across these cliffs around the ocean as well, and this is another shot of what seems to be the redesigned Sea Devils in this show as well, which once again they do look very different to Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character in this show. So I am leaning towards the idea that she isn't a Sea Devil and these are the redesigned Sea Devils. Obviously, once again, the Sea Devils have still been redesigned either way, but they don't look like what Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character looks like, so I'm assuming she's some sort of fish person and not a Sea Devil, and so I'm a little bit more okay with this Sea Devil redesign, even though I know a lot of people probably aren't going to be very happy with this, but it's better than having the Sea Devils look like Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character in my opinion, and I'd be interested to see it when it's like actually out and we don't get these quick glimpses of it in this trailer. We see these kind of eggs that are probably from Sea Devils or the fish people that have been kept in some sort of like body bag or something inside a lab, and that's pretty much it for the War Between the Land and the Sea trailer. Let me know if I've missed anything in this trailer in the comments down below, and if you're excited for the War Between the Land and the Sea and what you think it's going to be like, and do you think it is coming later this year, because I personally haven't seen that quote from DWM that says it is coming this year, so I'm not 100% sure where that's come from if that is the case. So do you think it is definitely coming this year or being pushed back to next year, or have you seen that quote? And let me know if you have seen that quote in the comments down below.